Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Abu Tawbah and welcome to Amongst the Few. This week we're going to talk about marriage. Everybody wants to talk about marriage and how they get married. Now, from the angle that I'm going to talk about it today is from the guy's perspective. How do you know that you're ready to get married? All the guys want to get married. And all the guys want the pretty girls, the rich girls, and all these other things. But what do you bring to the table? What do you have to do in order for you to be the best husband that a father-in-law would look for his daughter? The first thing that a man has to understand before he can get married, before you go up there, knock on the door and ask, can I marry your daughter? The first thing you have to know is basic fiqh. A young man has to be able to know what his aqidah is and be able to articulate that. Know who is Allah, where is Allah, these basic issues. What does La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, what does that mean in general? And then after that, he has to know all the issues of salah. How can you be the imam of my daughter and you can't even lead her in salah? What if she makes a mistake? How do you correct the mistakes? What happens when you have children and they ask you questions about the salah? So you have to know everything there is to know that you can possibly know about the salah. And then after that, you're going to have to know about Ramadan, paying zakah, making umrah and hajj. I want my daughters to go make umrah and hajj with their husbands. So you're going to have to know how to do that as well. And then you're talking about renting an apartment or buying a house. You have to know the rules of buying and selling. How can you be a husband? How can you be the head of the home and you don't even know whether it's halal to rent this apartment or rent a house properly? So these are the things, the basic things in a practical way that a husband, a son, a man has to know before you knock that door and start looking for another wife. After a man knows basic fiqh, he has to get a craft. The basic job of a man are الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. The men are those, the maintainers and protectors of the women. This means that your wife don't gotta get a job, you do. And you don't have to get a job, but you have to have a skill, a craft, a trade. Playing on the internet is not a good job. You have to have something that brings home the bread and feeds the family. Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, when he would see a young, promising looking young man, he would get real happy. But as soon as he found out that this man had no craft, no skill, no trade, he would say, get this boy out of my face. He would drop out. He becomes a boy now. You see, a young, promising young man, and now he's a boy. Because boys spend their time playing with cars, playing with toys. Men, they spend their time working and perfecting their craft, feeding their families, and taking care of the life that they're going to have to live in the next world, getting ready for that. A skill is something that you can use no matter where you go in the world in order to get money. Being a doctor, that's a craft. Being a teacher, being a welder. Anything that you can do that when you go overseas or you come over to Canada, you go to America, you go to Malaysia, you go to Russia, you go to China. Anywhere you go, you can use that skill. Now, what happens in the West a lot of times, people get jobs that they can only do in the West. That's not a skill. If you can only do it in America or Canada or Russia or Britain, then it's not a skill. It's got to be global. When a man knows basic fiqh and he knows his craft, he has a skill. He doesn't have to be an expert in it, but he has a skill, he's beginning in it, or maybe he's doing his internship, but he has a craft that he's working with. Even if he's just a businessman, because that's a craft too, selling. Then, before he gets married, we notice that the churches and the Catholics and all these different institutions, they usually set up seminars that are mandatory for those who want to get married to attend. This is something that they've taken from Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said that the good information, the good ideas, they all come from Islam. It's the lost item of the believer. So wherever he finds it, he should pick it up. And from Islam is the concept, knowledge precedes words and deeds. I, myself, you cannot get married in my masjid or by me without you first going through Abu Tawba's seminar for wannabe married people. It doesn't have to have that long name, but it has to have something like that, where you interview people who've been married and people who've been divorced, and you find out what are the things that they learned throughout their life, so you can adopt those things that you like, and you can stay away from those things that are to be detested and stayed away from. Knowledge precedes words and deeds. Marriage, as the Prophet ﷺ said, is the most important contract a human being can make, and it has to be fulfilled properly. Learn it before you abuse it. That's all the time we have today at Amongst a Few. I've been your host, Abu Tawba, and I'll see you again next time. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I just want to say Jazakallah khair to our guest host, Sheikh Abu Tawba. Thank you very much for taking your time out to speak with us and on such an important topic as well. And if any of you can think of any other prerequisites you should have before you get married, please leave a comment below. Also, if you guys want to check out Sheikh Abu Tawba's online Islamic program, go to myfix.org. That stands for the Fundamental Islamic Knowledge Seminary. So go check that out. And as always, if you like this show, make sure to subscribe and get episodes as soon as they come out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.